Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so that was a cut. The exhaust cover just was a little bit of a pain just to get off, but the high pressure, you just kind of twist off here and it comes in two pieces. It's actually really simple to take apart and clean it up, lube it, put it all back together. It's just about 3-4 pieces, not even that. So Bob has actually used this rig for quite a few markers. I think it's actually with every single marker now. With the inside, the reptile, any other vis, and the G6R, it's all basically the exact same thing. So I'm going to put that aside. So yeah, just, if it's going to be inconsistent, if it's leaking or such things, usually it's actually more inconsistent than anything else. You just have to, re-lube the high pressure. I'd say every 5 to 10 cases you can do that, and it should be fine. Okay, so carry on. If it is actually leaking, all you really have to do is, first things first, before you actually start taking the whole entire thing apart, is that there's 2 screws right here. So there's one, and then the other 2 is on the other side, or 1, 2, however you want to look at it. So usually what actually does happen is that those things just have to be tightened even more. So try that. If it does stop leaking, if it does stop leaking, then that's fine. The marker will actually just keep on shooting. If not, then take apart the whole entire marker. I'm actually going to show you on how to do it. Measure out what the O-ring is, and then we can go from there. So let's take this out. I'm actually going to cut out, just so I'm not boring you guys with all the details. It does actually take quite a little bit of effort, and it is sort of a pain in the ass. So see you guys in a couple seconds. Okay, so right when I actually got the 2 screws out, don't also forget to get this screw underneath, which actually holds this frame to the trigger frame. So I'm going to take that out. Alright, put that aside. Okay, so as you guys saw, I did take apart the eye covers and took out the eyes, just so it doesn't attach to this part, and I don't want to rip anything apart, or rip anything and break anything, so take that right out. As you guys can see, there is lube there. There's the spring, and there's the low pressure poppet. Now what's actually kind of unnoticeable really is, the high. Alright, so I did try to weigh them, and they actually weren't even registering on my scale, unfortunately. But you can actually kind of see, unfortunately the camera cannot pick it up, but one is actually higher than the other, so the high pressure is more smaller, and the low pressure is actually taller. So when the low pressure is actually in, it kind of activates the air a little bit sooner than the high pressure. So that's what makes it a little bit more smoother. It makes it more have that lower sound signature. So when I'm actually lubing this, I usually use Dow 55 or Dow 33. With this case, when I'm actually taking all this apart, it would be Dow 55. So this is fresh Dow 55 in there, and this is actually the O-ring right here. Hopefully you guys can see it. This is the O-ring that actually causes that leaking problem. So let's take that right out. Take my little O-ring booklet here, and it looks like it would be a 13, I'd say a 14. It looks like a 14. So it's the exact same O-ring that goes on your tanks, and it makes that seal in your ASA. So I'm going to put that right in, make it nice and smooth. I grab some Dow 55 and just kind of lubricate it a little bit just to make that nice sealing, nice swelling seal. And there you go. So then the low pressure sits right in. And then the spring. Of course, the lower end goes in first, so it actually connects with this spring. Goes in like that. And I always put on some Dow 55 here. There is no O-ring, but you know, just to make sure that the O-ring actually gets in, or you know, gets the extra lubricant in it. So there is also an O-ring here, just kind of surrounding the poppet. Sometimes that can get out. Sometimes that is also the problem with the leak. That's probably the actual bigger problem with the leak. Sometimes it can be this O-ring, sometimes it can be that O-ring. It's kind of just 50-50 on which O-ring you actually pick and lubricate. So Dow 55, once again, on that O-ring, and you know, tighten it as much as you can. Just don't over tighten it so that it actually breaks the frame. So put that in, spring goes right through this hole. Nice and smooth. And then screw it back in. Right from the bottom. I'm going the wrong way. So you also just want to make sure it's nice and tight. So usually I would actually grab it from the inside of the frame, wrap my index finger around to where like the barrel would actually go in, and then just kind of grab my middle finger and put it around the feed neck. So it actually makes that nice tight, you know, grip, and so it actually closes a little bit better. And then just grab your Allen key, screw that one in just so it's a little bit more secure. And I can actually kind of feel it with this finger here, or my ring finger just around it. It actually does make it a little bit more tighter, and you can kind of feel it. So then you grab your other two screws, which actually locks the two frames together. You can screw it in with your finger a little bit. Also make sure that the eye wires are not getting caught by the two frames. Then you just take your Allen key and tighten the crap out of them. And once again, I'll cut out because this takes me a little while just to do. So okay, so I do have it more like hand tight now. I haven't cranked it, but just be sure that when you actually do these kind of screws on anything really when it comes to paintball or even scuba diving, anytime you do this kind of stuff, just make sure that it's nice hand tight. You don't have to crank right onto it to the point where it's actually breaking. So just nice and, you know, hand tight. Okay, and it should not be leaking at all. Once again, I would actually air it up just so I can show you guys that it's not leaking, but unfortunately my bunnies are in my room right now, so I can't really do that. So now it's kind of just a reverse thing. You put the eye covers back on, you put the feed back on, you put the high pressure back on, and then you're pretty much good to go. So if it actually does leak from there, then you're probably gonna have to tear it all apart again and just change the two O-rings. Other than that, like, this marker is actually smoking. I love the color of it. It's like my perfect favorite color. But unfortunately, I just have to get rid of it now. Like, every year, it just seems like I need to, you know, change it up a bit. So this year I'm going to be ripping the Reptile and the M2. This year I'm just not going to have time for the G6R as well, because I really want to break those markers in, and I've already broken this marker in, so, you know, I don't want to have to overuse this thing if I don't have to. As well, the feed neck also kind makes that close in instead of it kind of being more of a V shape. Just by the screws, it kind of closes it in a little bit more, just to kind of equalize the pressure, so it's more straight. So yeah, the V-neck kind of holds it a little bit better. Sorry, just add something in there. So yeah, smoking marker, it rips like crazy. Very, very nice and efficient. I still have to do an efficiency test on this thing. Unfortunately, it won't be with this marker because it'll probably be gone by the time it's spring. But I do know a few people that have G6Rs, and if they are actually willing to lend it out to me, that'd be great. But, you know, no pressure. If not, then it's not really the end of the world. There's 100 G6R comparisons and efficiency tests out there, so it's not like I really need to do it. It's more like something I like to do. Okay, so, and we're back again. So now it's completely assembled again, except for the Exalt red cover. I'll put that back off camera. I just don't want to waste your guys' time and my time and memory just doing that. So, what else would I like to say about this marker? I love it. It has a nice feel to it. It has a nice trigger to it. This is kind of like a hybrid between the 2011, 2012. So the 2011 actually had the screw-in ASA. This one actually now has the 2012 style to it. It has the 2011 trigger. It has the 2011 bolt, but it came with the premium bolt. It's lighter than the 2011. It's a smoking marker. So the milling is actually, I never actually started to appreciate milling until I saw the Reptile. But the milling on this marker is actually very nice. Like I thought it was just a plain, marker, but the milling on this thing is actually pretty nicely done. And I would have gotten the Dragon myself, or the Z cut or something like that. But really, the only thing that really caught my eye was this cutout here, which I find freaking amazing. Like, in order to do like a stack poppet, which is what the G6R is, and have that nice little cutout, like that is just, I don't know, that just amazed me. And so it was actually pretty freaking awesome. So now another common problem with the G6Rs is that with the 4C eyes, especially with the laser eyes, which the laser eyes is what's in here, and I'm actually going to turn that on now. Okay, so marker is on. So you guys can see, you see that there's only one, blinking light, really. There you go. So there's only one blinking light instead of just two. Well, there's actually more eye wires on one side, which actually activates the lights. But one problem is that I'm actually going to turn off this light here. Hopefully you guys can see. But if you're on like a night game, and I've actually noticed this when I was at PRZ doing like a CQB thing, is that when I was firing and I was pulling that trigger, well, not only is the light from this and my reptile, or not my reptile, my rotor flashing in my eyes, but so is this red light coming from the eyes. And I thought it was just mine, but I've actually asked a few people that had the laser eyes, and the G6R, and they said, yeah, it's a common problem. Like, there's nothing you can do about it unless you want to like seal that eye cover, which no one actually recommends. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'll just leave it there and have it just kind of in my way. So there's nothing you can really do about it, and it's only with the G6R. It's not like it's with the Reptile or any other Victory or the Insight or anything like that. It's just the G6R. I'm not sure if it's with the Dragon or not, because I've never owned a Dragon or a Phoenix or a Flame, but it's just with the G6R. So have the light back on, and yeah, there's no breach wear or anything. As you can see, the bolt slides forward. There's no bolt wear, there's no nicks or scratches or anything on this thing. It is actually just beautiful. There's no wreck scratches or anything. It's very nice and smooth. There's no ASA scratches. I cannot find any scratches or discoloring or anything on this thing, so it is actually in damn near mint condition, perfect shape. It's just, it's a freaking beautiful marker. If there was actually a splash, I'm not sure if I would actually get a splash on this thing, but yeah, just two solid colors, and with the nail polish, it's actually a smoking marker. Very smooth on paint. Very customizable, just like the Mini. You can adjust the low pressure and the high pressure, make it very nice and smooth. Change the dwell. This thing is just smoking. There's honestly nothing more I can actually do to this thing except for change the trigger, and I didn't want to change the trigger, but because it's so nice. So yeah, I'd love to air it up and show you guys that there's nothing wrong with this thing now. I just wanted to do like a common problems unboxing, and just kind of like a review kind of thing on it, but as well, just going to show you. I would take out the RAM, but there's really no point to it. It's just two parts. You just take out the screw, take out the RAM cap, and then the RAM comes right out, and then you just lube it. It's the same thing. Just that, really, except that there's an O-ring at the very back of it. That's basically it. It might have like a little bit off weight, but that's about it. So this is the low pressure, lubed up, clean, good to go, and that's about it. So thank you guys very much for watching. Remember to check the description below for the other channels. They're actually very knowledgeable as well. They have awesome gameplay, and they're also just great guys. So this is Stuff with Dono. Thank you guys very much for watching.